Greetings. Once again, there's stuff going on next door, so hopefully you'll be able to hear me. We're going to work on mat stays right now. So the idea behind a mat stay is you need to teach your dog what's called the 3Ds of stay training. And the 3Ds are distance. How far away can you move from your dog and still have your dog remain in position? Distraction. What about bouncing balls? What about dogs walking by? What about kitties running around? What about food being presented? Those kinds of things are distracting. Can your dog remain in position even when those things are going, when those kinds of distractions are presented? And then the third D is distance. And distance is, can your dog remain in position if you get 3 feet away, 5 feet away, 10 feet away? That's, you get the idea. So 3Ds of stay training. We're teaching him to target a mat, so it gives him kind of a place to be, which makes training stays a little bit easier. He already knows down on the mat. He kind of orients to the mat. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of try and see if that's the case, even if I move that mat around. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this treat and toss it behind him to get him up and moving. And then I'm going to take this mat and I'm going to place it someplace else, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, he's got himself a bone. Of course he does. What do you think? So he came back right over to the mat, even though it was moved, and he positioned himself right on the mat. So what I'm going to do is toss the treat and place it over here. Let's see what happens over here. I'm not going to give him that because he's not actually on the mat. He's next to the mat. So we'll see what he does. I suspect he'll probably get up and move over to the mat, or he's going to crawl over to the mat. He's actually kind of hung up, so he's a little limited. There we go. There we go. So his leash was actually too short to get him to the mat, so that was a little punitive. All right, so he clearly has the idea that being on this mat is the best thing in the whole gosh darn world. So now what we're going to do is we're going to work on stays. And again, the 3Ds are distance, distraction, duration. So what I'm going to do is an exercise that I call push, stick, or drop. And push, stick, or drop simply means, is he capable of staying for some sort of criteria, and if he does it well, I can make the criteria harder. Okay, so that's pushing it. Sticking is, he's not doing so well with that particular criteria, so let's keep him at the same place and do some more repetitions. And then drop it simply means, he's really failing. Every single time I try to get him to stay, when I, for example, walk around the mat, he gets up and he moves, then maybe I need to drop it so that maybe I take a quarter of a step around the side of the mat, and I need to get this bone away from him. So I'm going to do, drop it, and that. That's definitely a distraction, okay? So I'm going to determine what my criteria is, and my criteria is, just for kicks, I'm going to start out with 10 seconds of duration on the mat before I reinforce him. So he has to remain lying down on the mat. I'm going to tell him to stay. He has no idea what that means. I'm going to see if he lays down on his own, which he should by now, so he does. I'm going to tell him to stay, and I'm going to count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there is one successful repetition of 10 seconds. So by the way, I'm going to do 5 total, and then I'm going to evaluate to see where he is at. If he gets 4 or 5 out of 5 correct, or if he's able to maintain the downstay for 10 seconds 4 or 5 out of 5 times, then I'm going to push it. I'm going to make it harder. Maybe I'll bump it up to 20 seconds. If he's not able to do that, then maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to, if he gets 2 or 3 out of 5, I'm going to stick it. So I'm going to do another 5 repetitions at 10 seconds. And then last, if he's 0 or 1 out of 5 times successful, then I'm going to drop it. So maybe not 10 seconds, maybe 5 seconds. So 5 repetitions, I'm going to start over, 5 repetitions, 10 seconds, we'll see where he's at. So, stay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 1 success. Stay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 2 successes. So I'm not going to punish him for that because he can do whatever he wants after the click. Once he lies down, I'm going to tell him to stay again. Stay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So he did not get up, so that's considered another success. So that's 3 out of 3 so far. Stay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 4 out of 4. He's squiggling all around, but he's not getting up. So I would prefer it if he maintained exact position, but I'm going to not be so stringent right now. Stay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good boy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to toss this last one off the mat. Since he was 5 out of 5, I'm going to bump it up to 20, just out of kicks. Just for kicks, rather. So I'm going to ask him to stay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Very good. Very good, buddy. So, stay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's a fail. Okay, so 1 success, 1 fail. Down. Stay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's 2 out of 3. Actually, I'm going to sit. I shouldn't do, by the way, you shouldn't, in the middle of your 5 set, you shouldn't change the rules. But I'm going to because you can't see me anyways. So I'm going to ask him to down. Good boy. I'm going to tell him to stay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 2 failures. So 2 out of 4 success. 2 failures, 2 successes out of 4. Down. Stay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 3 failures, 2 successes. So according to my template, he's got 2 out of 5, which means that I want to stick it. So I'm going to do 5 more repetitions of 20 seconds. Stay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's a failure. Okay, come here. Down. stay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 2 fails out of 2. Calvin, down. Stay. I know. 1, 2, 3, 4. I purposefully made this too hard, by the way. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 3 out of 3. He's failed. Down. No. Over here. Stay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That's 4 out of 4 he's failed. Calvin, down. Actually, I don't even have to go to 5 because he would only be 1 out of 5, which means I need to drop my criteria, which is kind of what I knew that I knew was going to happen. So he was successful at 10 seconds, but completely lost it at 20. So what I could do is I could split the difference at 15. I'm going to also show you some other, so that's duration, okay? I'm going to show you some distance, the distance part of the 3Ds. Come here, Calvin. I'm going to get him back into this though, because he's had too many failures and he's very frustrated and antsy. So I just want to reward him a few times for being on the mat, get him back into it, because the idea is not to frustrate him. As a matter of fact, the idea with this particular setup is that you don't frustrate him, that you go as quickly with his training as he determines. In other words, if he's showing you that he can't hold a position for whatever it is that you've established as your criterion, then you need to drop that and make it somewhat easier. And that can look differently. That could be done in a bunch of different ways. So just working with him just to kind of get him back into the game. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do distance training. So I'm going to set this up and I'm going to move the camera so you can see. Bloop. Just like that. I'm going to move the chair away. I'm going to get him back onto the mat. I'm going to tell him to down. No, come on onto the mat. No, come right here. Come here. Right here. That's it. Okay. Stay. Now, I'm going to take 1 step backwards and come back. So he was successful at me taking a step backwards. That's going to be my criteria for 5 repetitions. Stay, take a step back, and forward. Mind you, he's on a tether, so he couldn't follow me anyway, but you could see if there's tension on that leash if he's trying to. I'm going to tell him to stay. 1 step back, 1 step forward. Good. Actually, I should be clicking at the apex. So 1 step back, click him, and then move forward to feed him, because it's the distance that I'm trying to reinforce, right? So not when I come back up to him, but when I step away. So that is 4 successes, I think, out of 5. I might not count right, but you get the picture. So stay, 1 step back, and then moving forward. Great. So that is distance. Now, distraction. This is a hard one. I'm going to move around his mat. That's really difficult. They always want to follow you and pivot around while you do. So I'm going to tell him to stay. And I'm just going to make it super hard. I'm going to see, so he's already broken. So I'm going to come back to the to the front of the mat, down. And I'm going to walk halfway around. He gets up. So that's 2. Down. Stay. Halfway around. That time he actually was successful. I'll place it here so I can get him back onto the mat. Stay. Not successful that time. So 3 out of 4. He's failed. Stay. 1. That's 4 out of 5. Okay. So how can I make that into smaller bits so that he might be successful? I'm going to show you. Come here. Down. I know this is very hard. But what I'm going to do is, again, just to get him back into this, because I'm purposefully trying to create a setup where he's not going to be successful, and that's really not fair to him. So I'm going to just get him back into the game by just reinforcing him a few times for just being on that mat. Good boy. There's some yummy chicken and hot dogs. Good boy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to break. So going quarter of the way around the mat was too hard. So what if I took 1 step? So I'm going to tell him to stay. I'm going to move 1 step around and then click him if he's able to remain in position. Okay? Stay. Up. So one success, 1 not success. Down. Calvin. Good boy. Come back up here. Stay. Boom. Yeah, I think I've lost him. Down. Good boy. Stay. Boom. There we go. Good boy. So there's 2 out of 4. Stay. Good. So that's 3 out of 5. So that is stick it. So I'm going to do the same thing again for 5 more repetitions. So I asked him to stay, move to the side. There's one mistake. Stay, move to the side, boom, back, good boy. Stay, move to the side, no, down. Calvin. Come on. Calvin, come on. Hey, come on. You got a treat? That's what they want right here. Good. Down. 1 to the side. Good. 2 out of 4. Stay. To the side. 3 out of 5. So I would do the same thing again for another 5 repetitions, right? Calvin. Hey, pay attention. Stay. Boom. Good. There's 1. Stay. Boom. Good boy. Here's 2. Stay. Boom. No, not working. Hey, no, there's nothing going on. There's nothing. Come on. Shh. Come here. Come here. Down. No. Come here. Down. Stay. 1 to the side. So that's 4 out of 4. And stay. 1 to the side. Oops. So 4 out of 5. So we can move on, actually. Calvin. I don't know what he's heard, but he's heard something. There's a lot going on. Calvin, come on. I think what I'm going to do is, let's try. So what I would do is I'd make it harder then. So distraction, moving around. Distance, taking movement away. Duration, counting, right? So those are the 3 Ds. I'm going to work on something else with him now because I think he's kind of burnt out on this, and maybe come back to it. Nope.